We live in a strange paradox. By any metric, there is more global currency in existence right now than at any point in human history. Yet for the average person, everyday life feels defined by a constant structural financial scarcity. To understand why, we have to strip the economy down to its simplest parts. Imagine a village of 10 people. On the left, we have direct barter. Ben the baker needs firewood, but the woodcutter only wants Tanya's apples. This creates massive friction. Trade only happens if two people want exactly what the other has at the same time. On the right, the villagers introduce a neutral token, a gold coin. The coin has no intrinsic value. You can't eat it or wear it. It exists for one reason, to act as a universally accepted claim check. It allows the value of human labor to flow smoothly from person to person without the frustration of a direct swap. Money is a functional utility. It is trade grease meant to keep the engine of local commerce running. When the grease stops moving and the engine's seized up, we are looking at a mechanical failure in the village architecture. This balance determines purchasing power. On the left, 10 coins chase 10 loaves of bread, so one loaf costs 1 coin. On the right, everyone suddenly has 10 coins, but Ben hasn't baked any extra bread. Because the volume of tokens increased while the goods stayed the same, the price simply jumps to 10 coins. True wealth is the bread, not the tokens. Now look at what happens when tokens enter the system through a single source. In week 1, a villager saves 10 coins. By week 5, Lenny the lender starts spending a bucket of newly discovered coins into the marketplace. By week 10, those extra coins have driven the price of bread up to 3 coins. The villager still has their 10 coins, but those coins now claim much less bread. This is an unlegislated transfer of purchasing power. The value moves from the savers to whoever has the power to introduce new tokens into the marketplace. Deflation is the opposite problem. If Lenny and Tanya bury their coins in the backyard, they withdraw that trade grease from the market. With fewer coins circulating, Ben is forced to slash his prices to half a coin just to move his inventory before it spoils. This triggers a psychological freeze. If people expect prices to keep falling, they stop spending entirely. They clutch their coins, waiting for their tokens to gain more value, and the entire trade circle grinds to a halt. Whether the supply is artificially flooded or aggressively hoarded, the result is the same. The exchange of real goods is paralyzed. As the village modernizes, Tanya builds a gas and electricity grid. Villagers now need tokens for power and healthcare. This volume requires more trade grease. If the token supply stays locked while purchases increase, the new blue infrastructure network would suffer a deflationary collapse. However, volume isn't everything. Velocity, the rapid speed at which coins change hands, is what creates true economic life. A small amount of money moving quickly does more work for the villagers than a mountain of money sitting in a vault. Even when everyone follows the rules, we see the gravity of scale. Because Tanya owns the essential tools and grids that everyone uses daily, coins naturally flow away from the consumers and stack up in her chest.
This passive concentration leaves local storefronts like Ben's Bakery severely underfunded. The village might have a record-high number of coins, but because they are bunched up in one person's hands, the entire community feels broke. The total count of tokens is a hollow metric if the architecture of the system keeps that grease trapped in static vaults. Now we introduce an active drain on the system. When the villagers are short on coins, they borrow 10 tokens from Lenny the lender. Lenny agrees, but only on the condition that they pay back 11 coins next year. Here is the mechanical problem. Lenny created 10 coins but demands 11 back. That 11th coin mathematically does not exist. To find it, villagers relentlessly compete, while the extraction pipe vacuums the remaining trade grease completely out of their local circle. This creates a cycle of perpetual expansion and extraction. New coins are pumped in on the left to fuel the village's growth, but they are immediately spoken for by the interest-bearing vault on the right. The villagers stay on an endless treadmill, working harder for tokens destined to leave. The gold coin has transitioned from a neutral claim check meant to help the villagers trade into a permanent claim on their future labor. Breaking this cycle requires changing how money enters the village. If tokens enter the market as debt-free infrastructure funding rather than interest-bearing loans, the extraction tube never has a chance to attach to the community's pockets. This is the sovereign money system, built on a strict 1-to-1 reserve ratio. In Lenny's bank,
every coin written on the ledger must physically exist in the vault. The bank is no longer allowed to expand the money supply by creating artificial credit. By stopping private money expansion, the village removes the interest-based drain. The bank returns to being a safe warehouse, and the trade grease is issued by the public purely to support the village's actual physical growth. Decoupling money from debt stabilizes the trade circle. Purchasing power can finally scale alongside the village's productivity without being siphoned away. The Solis model refines this further by turning community banking into a public utility. When Ben the baker needs to upgrade his ovens, he receives a loan at 0% interest. Because the village only owes exactly what it received, the pool of trade grease stays intact. This one-to-one repayment removes the interest deficit and allows Ben to focus on baking rather than hunting for non-existent coins. To prevent coins from pooling in a single vault again, Solis introduces a structural holding cost called demurrage. If coins sit stationary and hoarded for too long, a tiny fraction is recycled. This recycled fee goes right back into the public square to fund new infrastructure. It ensures that money remains a tool for movement, preventing anyone from weaponizing stationary capital to freeze out the rest of the economy. By combining interest-free lending with a commitment to recycling capital, the village restores money to its purpose, a frictionless tool empowering local human labor.